Welcome back to a huge episode this week. Today I'm joined once again by Oscar, my right-hand man. Is always here to talk to me about these fights. And oh my, don't we have a big fight in this card this weekend?
Yeah, we do. Francis and Stipe. It's the biggest heavyweight rematch since Stipe and DC. This is another fight that has been looked forward to for a long time. And honestly, Francis should have gotten the shot a long time ago. And to book Francis against anyone else would actually be a disservice to the rest of the division. That's how dangerous Francis Ngannou is. He knocked out a undefeated prospect in Jairzinho Rozenstruik in 20 seconds in his last fight. This guy is the scariest human being on earth.
Yeah, exactly. The scariest human being on earth and the scariest human being I've ever seen in MMA. If he hits you with one shot, it can be over. 100%. All it takes with Ngannou is one shot. In the famous words of Dana White, he hits like a Ford Escort.
Yeah, and he doesn't need, even half of a Ford Escort, like a little mini Ford Escort. If you got that into somebody's fist and he lands, it's over. And Stipe was able to avoid it the first time around. Do you think he'll be able to avoid the wild flurry in that first round and get the decision, or do you think Ngannou exacts his revenge?
I do not see Ngannou in Zakini's revenge. I think Miocic wins this one. I think we're going to see another 5-rounder. I haven't seen enough from Ngannou since the first rematch. What was it? A total of 4 minutes has maybe been, except from the Derek Lewis fight, a total like 4 minutes.
Yeah, about 3 minutes ish. Stipe's had like over 30 minutes in the octagon since.
Mm-hmm. There is obviously I've got that huge question about his gas tank. Where's his cardio at? I know he's going to be working hard to get that sorted, get that right, but since the rematch from against Miocic, we didn't really see Ngannou in trouble too much in his last 4 fights. He's been knocking everyone out against Lewis. That was we know what happened there. That was just as they were just watching each other, just stare at each other. That wasn't the greatest of fights, so he wasn't in no trouble there. He wasn't really pushed to his limit, and then in his last 4 fights, he knocked everyone out in under 90 seconds. So it's just I haven't really seen enough from Ngannou in these last 4 fights, and I think Miocic beats him again. Miocic in Daniel Cormier rematch, survived the onslaught, then just hit him with that the nasty body shots and finished the fight. And then in the trilogy, that was a tremendous fight, a great trilogy, and got the better of DC once again. Not many people could say that they've done that, except from if your name is John Jones and Miocic. They're the only 2 men who have conquered DC. But yeah, I think Miocic wins this. I think he takes it. I think he survives that first round. I think he maybe even seen a knockdown in that first round from Ngannou. We see Miocic in real bad trouble, but he survives it and then takes over second, third, and fourth, and the fifth.
Here's the thing about Ngannou. Everybody always likes to talk about, oh, this guy has a puncher's chance. Ngannou has the greatest puncher's chance of all time, which is why I'm picking him. Of course, Stipe is the more technical fighter, the more accurate fighter, the better wrestler, the better gas tank. And he also has the mental edge over Ngannou because he completely owned him in those last couple rounds. He made Ngannou look like he did not belong with him in there in those last couple rounds. And Crazy Ginger Jake Holden says, hello guys, I have Stipe 4th round TKO. I actually bet Stipe by decision and Francis by first round finish. And that's just how I see it going. If it doesn't happen that way, I will be very shocked. Stipe was unable to finish Francis last time, so I don't see why he would finish him this time. Francis, he got hit a lot by Stipe in that past fight, but you saw that Stipe was not willing to commit to big shots because he knows that a counter shot from Ngannou could end his night. And that's what I'm thinking happens here. I think Ngannou has to wait for Stipe to be the aggressor in that first round. And when Stipe swings, he's going to catch him. That's how I see it going. In fact, in that first fight, he actually hit him with a nice hook and a nice uppercut. And both of the punches were, they were taken by Stipe, but I could tell that he was a little rattled by them. He was not completely untouched in that fight. And since then, Stipe got knocked out by Daniel Cormier. And of course, a lot of people actually believe that Ngannou's punching power actually was one of the bigger factors in that knockout. Joe Rogan says, it was just leftover damage from the Francis knockout or the Francis fight. And that's a fair point. Do you think that was the case there? Because I do think that could be, DC's just technique. Who knows?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think, maybe Miocic didn't really expect the punch from there inside the clinch. Maybe the dirty boxing. That's what, DC is great at. He's done it his whole career. Inside the clinch, dirty boxing, overhands over the top, over the right, overhand rights. That's what DC's done his whole career. He's a wrestler. He's always inside the clinch and dirty boxing. So I just didn't think Miocic expect the hands to come over the top, and it caught him flush on the chin. It was a beautiful punch. And then the follow-up shots as well. Incredible, accurate. But yeah, and if you look at his rematch against DC, his trilogy versus DC, I know I was bigging up Miocic. I said he's going to win this fight, but Miocic does get hit a lot. We talk about how great his boxing is and how, if you look at the first fight against Ngannou, he did that little bob and weave against the fence. I'm not too sure if you remember that, but did that little bob and weave, evaded, circled out. But he does get hit a lot, Miocic, I've got to say. And that troubles me too, because if Miocic gets hit clean by Ngannou, it's lights out. But if you look at his second fight, third fight against DC, he got clipped a lot.
Yeah, that is true. He's a very hittable guy, but let's not forget that DC does not have the power in Ngannou, which is why Stipe was there to be hit. That first performance was a masterclass. Crazy Ginger says Francis will probably gas out, and Stipe has improved his great wrestling a lot since the first fight, Francis fight. So I think he can catch. He can. This is terrible grammar here. He can finish him on the ground now that he knows he can beat Francis Ngannou. Oh yeah, my apologies. We got a lot of foreign listeners. We got listeners in Tanzania, New Zealand, all over the place. Yeah, but I'll finish on the ground. It's possible. It really is. But Stipe probably doesn't want to gas himself out either against Ngannou. If he just, let's not forget, Ngannou is a huge human being. He weighs he used to weigh 280 pounds in that first fight, and since then you can tell he's a little leaner, and that's a big weight advantage for Ngannou. And Stipe has actually slimmed down a little since then. He's about 233 pounds, and when you're smaller, it actually takes more energy to grapple a bigger guy. So I don't know. He didn't do it the first time, and of course we haven't seen any improvements from Ngannou, but I can assume he's gotten somewhat better on the ground, because this has been the major focus of his camp. They said that we cannot hit mitts for a year, and you'll probably be fine on fight night, but that grappling is what needs to improve. And they've actually said that they're focusing a lot on offensive grappling, because who knows? Could you imagine if Francis gets a surprise takedown on Stipe and lands some decent ground and pound? Because that power of Francis would be very effective if he's on top landing big shots. But of course, I don't see that happening.
Yeah, it doesn't happen. If you look at the first fight against Miocic, he weighed in at 263. And then the fight after that, he dropped 10 pounds and then weighed in at 263 against Miocic, and then weighed 253 versus Derek Lewis. Obviously, he lost that one too. But yeah, if you look at the weighing in here on the screen, 254, 258. Then he went 255. In his last fight, he went 261. That was the heaviest he's been for quite a while.
Yeah, that's that. But I tell you, both of these guys, they're in the best shape of their lives. Stipe is now 38, and that's probably a factor. People always say that heavyweight is an old man's game. It is, but Francis is 4 years younger, and this is a small apex cage where Stipe needs room to move, and if he has less room, it's going to be in Ngannou's favor. Even though people say that the small cage favors the grappler, movement is going to be a huge tool for Stipe in this fight. That first fight was a masterclass. He was able to move around, effectively use his head movement, and wrestle when he needed to, but he cannot wrestle the entire fight. And I think Ngannou probably pushes him he puts his back on that fence. He's going to chase him, and Stipe is going to try something, and it's not going to work out for him. But I told you guys I actually bet both sides of this fight because this is a coin flip. I don't know who's going to win, but right now I'll err on the side of caution here, and I'll just go with Francis because he's got insane power, and this is a crazy sport. The best fighter doesn't always win, and this is going to be the case here.
Yeah, it's a crazy sport, and in my opinion, these odds I don't think they're accurate. I think Stipe should be the favorite. It blows my mind that how he's not the favorite. He's defended his belt against DC. He's the heavyweight goat in my opinion. He was the one who's defended it most inside the UFC. Defended the belt. No one's above him in that remark, but. I think it's atrocious that he's not the favorite in this fight. I think he should be the favorite. I think it's a slight underdog, but isn't too much. But Ngannou's only the favorite because he's got that big right hand.
Yeah, the line movement in this fight was really interesting. Francis actually opened at like a minus 180 favorite, and he got bet down to like a minus 105, and now it's moving back in the direction of Francis Ngannou. People are very split with this fight, but in the majority of fan polls I've seen, it's actually been in Stipe's favor because, of course, he won that first fight. But you can only take so many punches for Francis in your lifetime and not go to sleep.
Mm-hmm. So what is your path for victory for Ngannou? I would probably say is maybe stay at distance. Don't rush your work. You've got 25 minutes to land one shot. That's all it takes from you. You're a big guy. You hit hard as absolute, a Ford Escort. But it takes one punch for Ngannou. You've got 25 minutes inside the octagon. Don't rush your work. We saw what happened when he rushed his work against the first fight. He gassed out, and that's what ultimately paid. He paid the price for it, and he lost the fight. I think he stays, composed. Maybe uses his jab, pops his jab out there, catches, because I don't think I've ever seen Ngannou really use his jab that much. I think it's just wild strikes over the top that we're seeing against Jairzinho Rozenstruik. I'd like to see him stay patient. Don't rush it and just, wait for, as you said there previously, let Stipe Miocic come to him. Because if he's the aggressor, he can catch him, with a hand over the top, or maybe even a counter. We don't know. We've seen it in the first fight when Ngannou catch him with that, that check left hook. It was a beautiful, beautiful punch. Rocked Stipe, and they made him shoot for a takedown. But yeah, I would say for Stipe is just get in there. The first sight of a takedown you see, take it. Because especially in that first round, if Miocic gets that takedown in the first round, that's an incredible way to start the fight, because he's going to get that round one in the bag. And, with all that muscles, Ngannou, this first round of Ngannou is the most dangerous. Even though he's dangerous throughout the whole fight, that first round, he's fresh, he's loose, he's going to be sharp, and he's going to be as fresh as he ever going to be in that fight. And if you get that first round out of the way, Steve Miocic can really take over. He weighed in at 233 in his last fight. He's bigger than John, but he's smaller than John Jones right now. That's incredible. He's a heavyweight.
Yeah, let's not forget the looming danger of John Bones Jones, who, in my opinion, is the greatest of all time. Jones is chasing that second belt in this division, and I don't even know if Jones is going to fight because, let's be honest, the UFC has to work out a deal with him because the reason he hasn't fought is because of pay. And if the UFC doesn't pay up, he's not going to fight. So I don't even know if that's guaranteed at this point, but let's focus on what Ngannou needs to do in this fight. What Ngannou needs to do, he needs Stipe to be the aggressor. If he's the one being the aggressor, Stipe can see those shots coming. Stipe can move his head, he can move his feet, he can counter Francis as well, and he can level change and get those takedowns. So if we see Francis effectively use underhooks to stop those takedowns, if we see Francis waiting for Stipe to come to him, we'll see Francis knock him out. But if we see Francis missing big shots, it's going to be a really rough night for Francis, and he's probably going to be exhausted and worn out and mentally defeated like he was last time. Also, let's not forget that Stipe has also improved since the first fight. Francis isn't the only one doing the improving. We saw improved cardio from Stipe in the DC fights. We saw a willingness to change game plans to reevaluate his approach to a fight, with those body shots. But we've seen Francis can take one hell of a body shot. If you've seen his Instagram, he'll take a body shot from anybody. So I don't think that would be a path to victory for Stipe. But, man, Stipe is the better fighter. He should win this in a perfect world. But this is just not the world we're living in. This is a world where you just need one punch and it's a wrap. And if I was betting Stipe, my heart would be broken if Francis knocks him out. So I don't want my heart broken. So I'm betting Francis by first round knockout.
My favorite fighter is actually Stipe Miocic. So this would be hard for me to watch. I have a few favorite fighters I like to watch, but the first one is Miocic, and then it will go Anthony Smith and Rosnam Yunus. They're my top three.
Yeah, Stipe is a really fun guy to watch. In my opinion, he's the greatest.
His personality is
in UFC history. He's the greatest heavyweight in UFC history for sure. There's a debate that Fedor might be better. If you just look at the accomplishments, it was a different era. But if you look at a 28 fight win streak, that's kind of undeniable if you ask me. But talking about fighters that I love watching, we got Tyron Woodley and Vicente Lukey in that co-main event. How do you see it going? Because Tyron Woodley has not looked himself in his last couple fights. He's lost 45 minutes in a row of fighting. Do you think he can be the old Tyron in this one?
That's rough. 45 minutes of fighting. What? How many rounds did they say? I can't remember off the top of my head.
15.
15 rounds he's lost in a row. And yes, credit where it's due. The fighters he's lost to in a row, they've been incredible competition. We're talking about Colby Covington, Kamaru Usman, and the other one doesn't come to my head. What is it? Who was it?
Gilbert Burns.
Gilbert Burns. That's it. In his last fight against Gilbert, but his last fight was Colby actually. Then Gilbert Burns and Usman. But yeah. Where he got stopped by Colby Covington, which the rib injury, but make of that or whatever you want. But anyway, yeah. Lukey, I think, wins this fight. I think Lukey is violent on the feet. We've seen it on the feet, and yes, he got outstruck by Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. But who doesn't get outstruck by Stephen Wonderboy Thompson? That guy's incredible. He's a karate world champion. Unless your name's Anthony Pettis, you get outstruck by Wonderboy. But even Anthony Pettis in that fight was getting outstruck by Wonderboy. It was just that one shot, all he needed to knock him out. But Lukey's last loss was against Wonderboy. Since then, he bounced back with against Randy Brown and which other one? Nico? Oh, Nico Price and Randy Brown. Yes, two great wins under his belt to get him back into that, the win record, back into the win column, and shoot himself straight back into the, into the top dogs. But I think Lukey wins this fight. He's violent on the feet. He's got great Muay Thai, great kickboxing, and his striking is beautiful. And in this fight, I just don't see Woodley. He said before the fight, he said that Woodley said that he's fixing his mentality. He's changing his mentality to actually. So hopefully we do see the old Woodley. But in my opinion, it doesn't happen. I think Lukey, takes control of this fight.
Yeah, that was a miscalculation on my part. It's somewhere in the neighborhood of 71 minutes in a row because that Colby Covington fight was actually a finish. If you remember, he screamed, "Oh, my rib, my rib." It's become a meme since then. And Vicente Lukey is violent. He's a finisher. And whenever he sees the opening for a finish, he's going to take it. And somebody who nearly finished Tyron Woodley was Gilbert Burns. And if you didn't know, he's actually really good buddies with Gilbert Burns. And Gilbert Burns could probably give him a tip or two about beating Tyron Woodley. Lukey was standing right there watching Gilbert Burns dismantle Woodley for 25 minutes. And he probably picked up some some effective tactics he can use here against Woodley. Even if the old Woodley shows up, even the old Woodley was a very low volume. In that Damian Maia fight, he barely threw any strikes. It was all defense. He was defending those takedowns. I believe it was 13 takedowns defended by Tyron Woodley in that fight. We've seen Woodley just hope that that right hand lands and just do whatever he needed to do to win, try to grind out a win. And Lukey is just too violent for that kind of fight, if you ask me. Lukey is going to be chasing that finish. And if Woodley all of a sudden revives his past self, Lukey can still catch him with an uppercut. Lukey can still just back him up and just hit him with huge shots. Back in 2012, Lukey got knocked out by Nate Marquardt. Nate Marquardt, of course, was on every steroid you can imagine back in the day, but Lukey hits like a Mack truck. Bilal Muhammad was on a huge win streak. He's shown to be super durable, and Lukey put him out in just a minute. He has ridiculous power. He's actually got pretty good jiu-jitsu too. He's a brown belt. I don't think this will take place on the ground. I think Lukey just elongates the beating because Woodley's got a decent chin on him. So I just think the ref is eventually going to pull him off because Tyron Woodley is going to be content to just be all defense. And I would love to see the old Woodley be back, but Lukey is just so dangerous, and he's going to be moving up, and Woodley's going to be moving down.
Yeah, as Jamie Williams said there, if Woodley needs to win this, or he's out.
Yeah, so my official pick for this is third round TKO, and it's actually my lock of the night because the way Tyron's been fighting recently, I'm not picking him to win until he gets a win because this is just a very unreliable guy to pick.
I agree with you 100%. But I think Lukey wins this fight, and I think he wins it. Maybe not fairly comfortably. I think maybe we see Tyron Woodley, improve in that first round. Maybe ends the streak of losing the rounds. But I think Lukey, eventually figures him out, and we see, him win the decision. But yeah, if he loses this one, as Jamie says, he could be out of the UFC. 4 losses in a row. Former champion. 38 years old, doesn't really look like he's going anywhere. 4 losses in 4 losses in a row. That could be tough, and that could be his job.
Tyron's leg was actually compromised in that Gilbert Burns fight. Tyron has always said that he tends to get injured. He always comes in with an injury, and he also walks out with an injury. And who knows what he's got going on heading into this. So Woodley could also take advantage of whatever's going on there. And Gilbert Burns actually was able to implement a couple leg kicks in their fight. And, if Lukey tries to implement some leg kicks, that's going to open up that huge overhand for Tyron Woodley to land. And that would be the way that Tyron Woodley wins, if you ask me, besides the wrestling. But we've never really seen him totally lean on the wrestling. And he's just been low volume. And Lukey is super active. His Brian Barberena fight, my goodness. That's one of the best 3-round fights of all time, and he eventually got the finish. So it could look a little similar like that if Woodley doesn't show up again.
100%. Well, let's talk about an exciting fight. 135, a great fight between Sugar Sean O'Malley and Thomas Almeida. The return of Sugar Sean O'Malley, and in the words of Sugar Sean, he's still undefeated.
Yeah. You forgot to say the undefeated Sugar Sean O'Malley. He should change his nickname from Sugar to Undefeated because he believes the case was that Chito Vera unintentionally gave him drop foot, which just gives you dead leg, and that was just not the case there. Of course, I don't think it was intentional by Chito Vera, but it was still what he did. He was trying to damage his leg with his foot, and that's what he did. So that's a real loss, if you ask me. That was some good ground and pound he was able to get going. And that's a real loss for Sugar Sean. But that doesn't mean I'm not picking him here against Thomas Almeida, who hasn't gotten a win since 2016. If you didn't know, Thomas Almeida is actually 29. These guys are just 4 years apart. Almeida can still improve someday. Who knows? But he's just not been looking that great. The fight with Martinez was a little competitive, but Martinez was able to piece him up in that fight. And Thomas Almeida actually does Instagram videos showing people his techniques. I don't know if that's the smartest thing to do heading into a fight against Sugar Sean O'Malley, who's an excellent counter striker. And Thomas Almeida is very predictable, if you ask me. He likes to go for that 1-2 in the leg kick. There's a multitude of techniques that he does that are predictable. He does have wins by flying knees and stuff. He's got a lot of power in his hands. But Sugar Sean O'Malley should get that second round knockout here. Cody Garbrandt was able to knock him out back in 2016. So I think a guy who's really quick, who's got really good striking, like Sugar Sean O'Malley, will probably land.
Yeah, if you look at, you said Cody Garbrandt knocked him out. So did Rob Font, now top 5 in the division. But yeah, if you think about Thomas Almeida, you think about 2015 Thomas Almeida, 2015, 2014 Almeida. This guy was regarded as one of the best prospects at the bantamweight division. He's going to be a future contender, maybe even a future champion. And oh my God, did Cody Garbrandt derail that? Since that loss, I think it mentally, I'd never seen Thomas Almeida there after that loss. I think that loss really, badly damaged his career. And we've seen it. Now he's on a 3-fight losing streak, and now he's fighting one of the biggest prospects we have in the 135-pound division at the moment, Sugar Sean O'Malley. And in my opinion, this fight shouldn't be happening. In my opinion, I think they're both on totally different wavelengths at the moment. I think Thomas Almeida needs to get a win. He's on a 3-fight losing streak. Sugar Sean O'Malley, he's fighting the better competition recently. He fought in his last fight Chito Vera, so I feel like he should be fighting someone maybe in the top, maybe just top 15, or maybe off the cusp of top 15. And that's where I do not see Thomas Almeida. I don't think he's nowhere near that top 15. He lost against Jonathan Martinez, who just got knocked out by Davey Grant, and they're nowhere near. I'm no disrespect to them, they're nowhere near the top 15.
Jonathan Martinez is pretty underrated, if you ask me. Mm-hmm. That Davey Grant knockout was just a huge shocker, and I don't know if that happens 10 times out of 10, but my goodness, Sugar Sean O'Malley, he's really good, if you ask me. A lot of people like to say that he has yet to beat the best of competition. His last win was Eddie Wineland. Eddie Wineland says he's gotten knocked out by John Castaneda, who's that guy's definitely not near top 15. So yeah. Sugar Sean O'Malley does need to prove himself. This might be the toughest fight of his career right here. Chito Vera is probably a little tougher. I don't know, but yeah, this version of Thomas Almeida is not the best. And just like Woodley, if he can become his old self, maybe Sugar Sean O'Malley still beats him here, because he does have that some really good pop on his punches. So this will be a kickboxing fight. I don't think Thomas Almeida will chase a takedown here. He's never really done that. That's what Sean O'Malley thinks is going to happen. If you listen to interviews with Sean O'Malley, he's actually thinking that he's looking for the submission against him. But that's not going to be the case. But if this does go to the ground, I'd favor Thomas Almeida, but I don't think it will. So Sean O'Malley, second round TKO.
Yeah, I'm also favouring Sugar Sean in this fight, and I think he wins it fairly comfortably. As I said, I don't think this fight should be happening, in my opinion. I think Thomas Almeida needs a win desperately, and they hand him one of the biggest prospects in the 135-pound division. It doesn't make sense. I think there was probably a smarter fight for Thomas Almeida, but credit is where it's due. He's a warrior for stepping up to the occasion to fight Sugar Sean. Yeah, but I think O'Malley wins this fight fairly comfortably, in my opinion. But yeah. Moving on to a very competitive fight between two women, Gillian Robertson versus Miranda Maverick at 125 pounds. And oh my God, I've had the pleasure to speak of both of these women. Me and Oscar actually broke this one down before. And then was it the day before, the day of maybe? The day of, it fell through. But they're running it back. And I'm glad, well, not kind of running it back, but they're rescheduled. But yeah, I'm excited this fight's going down, because I think this is a great matchup, great stylistic matchup. Miranda Maverick, we've seen her last fight, that that elbow, that step-in elbow, and just cuts open her opponent. A beautiful finish. And then Gillian Robertson in the last fight kind of struggled on the ground against Talia Santos. She got dominated on the ground, and that's where Gillian Robertson is best at. Check out the Gillian Robertson interview if you haven't already. This is where we talked about the Miranda Maverick fight. Maybe we'll put this at the end of the interview if you listen on audio.
Yeah, there's not much to add here since the first fight. This is still the same fight. If you ask me, I've taken a good look at it again, and my mind really hasn't changed. Miranda Maverick has not exactly fought the best of competition yet. Gillian Robertson has, but in stylistically, this does go in Maverick's way. She's a better striker. I would say her wrestling might be a little better here, and Gillian Robertson, of course, she could wrap her up with a submission, but Maverick is no slouch on the ground either. She has some submission wins of her own. Uh, this probably goes Maverick's way by split decision. This could be more competitive than some people think it is, especially if Robertson is able to get top position like she was against Botejo in her last fight. So this probably will be a Maverick win, but don't count out Robertson. She's a legitimate black belt under Dean Thomas. She can always get a submission.
You mean Talia Santos was their last fight, but yeah, Botejo before that. Yeah. That was as you can see, Amanda Maverick, according to Tapology, is the favorite in this fight. I think Miranda Maverick. This is a tough fight for them both. But if you've seen who Gillian Robertson has fought in the recent record, Courtney Casey, Poliana Batola, as you said there, Talia Santos, by the way, who is a killer. She's incredible. She's going to do waves in that division. She's going to fight. Hopefully, I don't know whether she's booked in a minute, but she's going to fight top five. Roxanne Modafferi, yes, and brilliant. Gillian Robertson, though, maybe we haven't really touched up on that subject. She did get finished against Macy Barber.
Yeah, Macy Barber is really aggressive, and Miranda Maverick is too. She was throwing about 9 punches a minute in her last fight. She was just throwing it all out there, and Gillian Robertson has looked pretty uncomfortable on the feet on the feet in the past, especially against Macy Barber that night. So Maverick could also get a second round TKO, just like she predicted when you interviewed her.
And if you look at how Miranda Maverick and Macy Barber, I think their styles are so similar. They both hit really hard, and if they connect it, it could end as soon as they hit. They've got that one. I wouldn't say one punch power because I don't think no disrespect to any lady, but I don't think that the women's have that one punch KO power than the men's do. But yeah, unless your name is Amanda Nunes, Shevchenko, Cyborg, Andrade, maybe. But yeah, Miranda Maverick, I think she has that power to finish her on the feet, maybe up against the cage, like what happened against Macy Barber, Gillian Robertson. Maybe on the ground as well. Maybe, we might see, Gillian Robertson get hit by a body shot and maybe kind of fold a little bit.
Yeah, this is going to be whoever wins this, they're going to be looked at as, somebody to look forward to their next fight, because they're probably going to get something pretty big, because this is a battle to, I don't know if Gillian is still a prospect, but I do think this is more of a showcase fight for Miranda.
Okay, so what is your official pick?
Yeah, I said a Miranda by unanimous decision.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've also got. I'm going to go with Miranda too. I have had the pleasure to speak to both women. Obviously, Gillian Robertson on this channel, and I spoke to Miranda Maverick on Pub Sports Radio. I do some work over there too with them guys. But yeah, both women are so likable, and it's going to be an entertaining fight. And I can't wait to see whoever comes out supreme. But good luck to both women, and I'm excited to see the fight. Talking about a barn burner. This is a fight that I'm really excited to see. Jamie Malarkey versus Karma Worthy. And all I have to do is read Karma Worthy, and you should be tuning in. This guy is entertaining.
Yeah, he got that huge upset against Devontae Smith in his debut. And right after that, he was able to submit Violent Bob Ross, Luis Pena. But after that fight, he did get knocked out by Otman Azitar. I don't think Malarkey has the power of Otman Azitar, who has a ton of first-round finishes. Karma Worthy's got a lot of power on him. He's actually a little bit older. He's about 35 right now. And Malarkey's he's not even 30 yet. But this will go in the favor of whoever does more damage. Jamie Malarkey has gotten takedowns in every UFC fight he's had. He got a ton of takedowns against Fares ZM, like 5 takedowns. He got a lot of control time. But ZM was actually outstriking him in the rounds that he was controlling him in, which is why the judges gave him that decision. But I completely disagree with the decision of the judges that night. Worthy will damage him on the feet. Malarkey's very hittable. Brad Riddell was able to do some good damage. He was even rocking him. He landed over 50 strikes in that third round. And I do think Worthy has a little more power than Riddell, so I'm saying Worthy gets that second round knockout. But if Malarkey gets this on the ground, it's going to be in his favor.
I agree with you. I think Worthy gets this one done inside the distance. I'm not going to put a round on it because I'm not a prediction guru. But yeah, I think this one, gets inside the distance. I think Worthy connects with him maybe within the first or second round. That if I had to choose around one of them ones.
Yeah, this is my pick for fight of the night.
100% mine too. And if you think about it, Jamie Malarkey, 2-fight losing streak, hasn't had that win inside the UFC at the moment. So he's going to be coming into this one very aggressive, maybe.
Yeah, he got knocked out by Volkanovski in the past, which is why I'm pretty confident that Worthy can do it.
I never knew that. That's incredible. Was that 140? That must have been 145 pounds. So he used to fight 145.
No, Volkanovski used to be a lightweight.
Oh wait, really?
You didn't know that Volkanovski was in the UFC?
I knew he was big and then came down. I never knew he was lightweight. That's incredible. You learn new things every day.
Yeah, you do.
Wow.
Yeah, and coming up, we got a fun one. This is a last-minute replacement for William Knight. It's Fabio Charant. If you didn't watch the Contender Series, this guy loves to grapple. He's got a lot of submissions on his record, but he's pretty comfortable on the feet as well. He's actually LFA's light heavyweight champion, and LFA's light heavyweight champions have done fairly well in the major promotions. Ryan Spann, ever heard of him? He was an LFA light heavyweight champion. And Alonzo Manfield also came from the Contender Series.
Dominic Reyes.
Loves those big first-round knockouts. And this is going to be another one for him, especially someone like Fabio, who actually got finished on Contender Series by Alexa Kamur, one of Stipe Miocic's training partners. So if I see a loss by TKO on your record and you're fighting somebody as powerful as Alonzo Manfield, I'm probably going to favor Alonzo, who's just a very scary guy. But if this goes out of the first round, this is going to be a Fabio Charant submission.
Yeah, and if you as you said there, you mentioned the power of Alonzo Manfield. It's significant. And if you look at his fight against Paul Craig, he put the lights out against Paul Craig. And Paul Craig, he's the top 10 fighter. He's fighting Jamal Hill coming up soon. Just got rescheduled. Off the top of my head, maybe 263.
Yeah, I got no idea.
Yeah, maybe 263, 264. I'm not too sure off the top of my head. Maybe with July 17th. I can't remember. But yeah, Alonzo Manfield knocked out Paul Craig in that fight. Incredible knockout. And then unfortunately, now he's got losing 2 back-to-back versus Devin Clark and then lost against Owen St. Preux. Devin Clark uses wrestling to really tire him out in that fight. And, Owen St. Preux just catched him with that, that check left hook. And you put the lights out. Do I see Fabio Charant maybe doing that? I don't think so. As you mentioned there that he's a submission threat. Does he have that power in his hands? I'm looking at his photo. He looks like he has a big frame on him. So who knows? He might land that big right hand over the top. But I'm not too sure how many KO wins he has on his record. It doesn't look like a lot. They all look like via submission. We'll go through his record here. Yep, he doesn't have a KO win on his record.
Yeah, as I told you, he likes to grapple. But on the feet, this is going to be a really scary fight for Fabio.
Yeah, all I have to do is look at his record. He hasn't got a KO win. Mostly by decision and a submission. So I'm going to go with Alonzo Manfield. I'm going to match that pick. I'm going to go with either. I'm not going to go second round pick because if it goes second round, it's not his fight. I'm going to go a first round KO for Alonzo Manfield.
Yeah, this should be a good fight for Alonzo to bounce back in.
Yeah, so we'll talk about 2 prelims, with 2 highlighted prelims. So which one would you like to talk about, Oscar?
Yeah, Modestas Bukauskas and Michael Olejniczuk. And also, we'll start on this one and then we'll choose the second one. All right, this fight is gonna be fireworks. I expect this fight not to see a third round for sure. These guys love to bang. Modestas Bukauskas was on a huge win streak before he lost to Jimmy Crute by first round knockout. And I didn't think Modestas Bukauskas would lose in that manner. I thought he had a better chin than that. And Michael Lejachuk has ridiculous power. He's put guys out in a minute. Antigulov, who else? Sean Vellante, he put those guys out. He's just got a ton of power. He's only 6 feet tall, which is a little short for a light heavyweight. And Bukauskas has a pretty big reach advantage on him. So this could be Bukauskas just, using his range, being a smart fighter, and getting this done. But we haven't really seen him be that smart of a fighter. In that Jimmy Crute fight, he was fighting a pretty wild fight. And you can't fight that much of a wild fight on the feet against somebody like Michael Olejniczuk.
Yeah, if you look, you said there the reach advantage from Modestas Bukauskas, 4-inch reach advantage. That's significant. That could really play a factor in this fight. The frame as well. Yeah, that frame as well. He's huge for 205 pounds. 6'3", 17-inch reach advantage. He's a big boy. He's from Lithuania, born and bred in Lithuania, but he's got that English accent because he was brought up in England. I talked to him a lot of the times, and he's fighting out of Denham, Buckinghamshire, England. So I'm gonna have to rep with him, not because he's an English fighter. I think he gets this one done. I think on the feet, I think it's a really close matchup. But I think Modestas keeps this one at range, and I don't think he finishes the fight. I think we'll see a 15-minute fight and maybe a split decision.
Yeah, this is going to be really competitive for as long as it lasts. I think these guys are going to trade shots back and forth, and one of them is going to go down, but I expect Modestas to go down because he went down into the last one. So Michael Olejniczuk by first round knockout.
Yeah, you mentioned his power. He put up some incredible guys. Gene Vellante, he's known for his durability, and he put him out. Incredible. This is going to be a great fight, a good barn burner on the prelims. Very early. If you're from the UK, it's going to start about 12 a.m. For us over here in the UK. So make sure you tune in to watch Modestas Bukauskas repping the UK and Lithuania at the same time. Anyway, what other one would you like to talk about?
Yeah, Shane Young and Omar Morales is going to be really fun to watch. Let's preview that for you guys. What's your pick for this one? This fight was in threat of getting canceled, and that kind of bummed me out, but it looks like it's staying on the card. This is going to be fun. Who are you signing with?
I'm going to side with Omar Morales in this fight. If you look at Shane Young in his last fight, he got finished by Ludicolo Clean?
Ludovic Klein.
Ludovic Klein. Nice. That's a great pronunciation. Much better than mine. Anyway, if you look at the record of Omar Morales, a lot of decision wins, a few finishes on the feet, one submission. But yeah, I think he gets this one done in my opinion. He's lost against Giga Kikadze. Who doesn't lose to that guy? That guy's incredible. He's a great prospect coming up in the division. He got his win against Gabriel Martinez and Don Hoi Ma as well. And he got his contract on the Contender Series versus Harvey Park. But Shane Young, as you said, this fight was in jeopardy. And I'm glad it was in jeopardy because these city kickboxing guys have been losing recently. We're seeing it on the UFC 259. They all lost. I think actually Kai France was the only one that won. Yeah, Kai France was the only one. Shane Young, you mentioned earlier that he lost against Volkanovski. Oh wait, did you mention Maybe was that another guy? Anyway,
Malarkey.
Malarkey. That's it. Yeah, well, Shane Young's also lost to Volkanovski. He's also finished Rolando Dye and Austin Arnett, and then got finished against Ludovic Klein. But in this fight, I think it's gonna be a close fight between these two. Omar Morales got that record. He's got that, that pretty record: 10 wins, 1 loss. That's very pleasing on the eye of the UFC and everyone and the fans. And I think he gets this one done, and I see it via decision.
Yeah, Omar was undefeated at lightweight. He moved down to 145 because he said there was more of an opportunity to get fights booked because those guys at 155, they really hesitate to get fights booked, which is why that title fight getting booked was such a big deal. But at 145, guys are a little more willing to fight unless your name is Zabit or Yair Rodriguez. But my goodness, this is a fun division to watch. And this is going to be a good showcase for this division. It's actually the first fight of the night. I think that you could move this up to the main card because it's going to be really fun. Shane Young is a good striker, of course, comes out of that city kickboxing camp. Omar Morales is a little more well-rounded, if you ask me. He can mix in those takedowns, which is why I actually picked him to beat Giga Chikadze when they fought. So this is going to be fun. Let's pick Omar Morales here by decision. Shane Young, when he fought Ludovic Klein, that was a short notice opponent, which is why Ludovic missed weight. That might have been a factor. I don't know, but Omar is a really good fighter. As I said, he was undefeated at the best division, so I'll pick him. But Shane Young could outpoint him on the feet. This is going to be a split decision type fight.
I agree with you. I think this is, in the famous words of Oscar Silva, this could be a coin flip fight. If you see that, he's got that reach advantage. 5'11", 74 of reach inch. Is it 1.5 reach advantage compared to Shane Young? Not too much, not really significant, not enough to really maybe play a factor. But it's still a reach advantage in its own right. But he's 35 and a half years old. That's very old for someone who looks very young, in my opinion. He looks very young.
Yeah, it's now or never for him.
Mm-hmm. This will be a huge win for him, as Shane Young's only lost against Klein and Volkanovski. But this will be a big win for him. And I see Omar Morales getting it done by decision. And I think it's going to be a very competitive fight on the feet, and maybe giving the edge to Omar Morales on the ground and the grappling.
Yeah, this is going to be fun, as I said many times. Make sure to tune in to every fight. There's only like 9 fights on this card because COVID struck once again. And man, make sure to tune in. This fight, this main event, is going to be my number one fight to watch this year, just because the result will impact so many things in the MMA sphere. We're talking about a John Jones return here. Who knows, the winner could fight Tyson Fury one day. It's going to have a lot of implications for the future. Stipe actually says he prefers to fight Fury over Jones. What do you think about Stipe being in boxing someday?
Well, it's actually funny that you brought that up because I'm not too sure if you know who he is. Do you know who Alexander Usyk is?
Usyk.
Yeah.
I feel like I've heard the name, but I can't quite put my finger on it.
Yes, he's a Ukrainian boxer, fights at heavyweight, and he recently come out and publicly said, he's gonna maybe challenge for AJ's belt. He was meant to be the mandatory for Anthony Joshua's belt, but that fight didn't happen. Instead, they're doing the AJ Fury fight. But he's a very great boxer, one of the best boxers we've probably seen inside the boxing world. These Ukrainians have amazing amateur records, have amazing amateur, fight, great background, and what you learn about the Ukrainian boxers is that they know how to box. They're incredible. Their boxing IQ is incredible, and they're very good at everything. And he's came out and publicly said that Dana White gave him a call and said, if you'd like to fight in the UFC while you wait, I'm very open to it. And Alexander Usyk said, hey, I might just do it.
Man, I would like to see somewhat of a boxing crossover. There's some guys in boxing that even have like wrestling backgrounds, but the big bucks is in boxing. That might be why Stipe might want to go there. So yeah, that's going to be a big money fight, and the Jones fight is probably going to be a pretty big money fight too. But man, this fight this weekend will have a huge impact on the future of the sport. If Francis wins, he's going to be catapulted into megastar status, if you ask me. The UFC wants a big star to head on their card in Africa, and he would probably be the guy to do it. Usman and Adesanya both said he would be the guy to headline.
That's incredible. If Ngannou's headlining, Ngannou, even if he loses this fight, loses the next fight, he can still headline. The guy brings so much stardom to the UFC from Africa. It's incredible. Having that said, if he does do it this Saturday, I would be happy because I would like to see a show in Africa, in my opinion. Yeah,
it's inevitable. The UFC wanted to do it, but the pandemic stopped a lot of things. But this is going to be the one. If you're going to watch any fight this year, watch this fight because we're either going to see Stipe once again cement himself as the greatest in UFC history at that heavyweight division, or we're going to see us like a legitimate star born and Ngannou taking over this division.
Yep, so we'll quickly go over the rest of the fights, then call it a wrap. We've only got 2 more to go through. Jared Gordon versus Abubakar Nurmagomedov. Who have you got?
We'll keep it quick for you guys here. The Nurmagomedov last name, it doesn't mean you're Habib. But a lot of people just look at the last name and assume, oh, Habib's in his corner. Habib is gonna transfer all his talent into him. No, that's not the case here. Gooden is a good striker. He's got a couple submissions on his record, but Abubakar should stay out of danger and get the unanimous decision.
Yeah, I was going also with Abubakar Nurmagomedov. I think he gets this one done. He hasn't had the best of luck usually inside the MMA. We've seen his last fight, he lost against David Zawada. Got that draw versus Bojan Velovic, who was also in UFC, and then got submitted by versus Pavel Kush as well. But anyway, I'm going to go with Abubakar Nurmagomedov. I think that's going to be a very competitive fight between the two. But starting off the card, we've got Abu Azitar versus Marc-Andre Barriault. Who do you have in that one?
This is going to be probably going to be a decision. Azitar, he's the brother of Otman Azitar. Those guys got a lot of power. Marc-Andre Barriault has never been knocked out. His fight with Jotko was very competitive. It was a split decision, and on the night, I actually thought Barriault won. But when you got a guy like Azitar with a ton of power, and he's landing the more damaging shots over the course of 15 minutes, the judges are probably going to give it to him. So that's the guy I'll side with. He's actually on a really big winning streak. If you see it right there, he's on a big fight winning streak, and I like to go with the guy who who's more familiar with winning. He's actually quite shorter than him. He's like 5'9", which is Tyron Woodley's height. So yeah, I'll go with him, but I'm not confident on this at all.
Mm-hmm. Marc-Andre Barriault, showed his potential in his last fight when he finished Oscar Pichota, but that got overturned. I'm not too sure why. Might tested positive, maybe.
It was marijuana thing. It was a supplement thing.
Yeah. Ooh, that's interesting. I'm not too sure what that was off the top of my head. Maybe marijuana, but
no, it wasn't marijuana. It was something in his supplement that was taken. Abu is also coming off of suspension as well, which is why he hasn't fought since 2018. So who knows? Abu could show up and just look terrible like Santiago Ponzinibbio did that one time.
Yeah, I'll quickly try and find if I can get him to. He's suspended for a positive drug test. Got fined 9 months. I'm trying to find out what it was. Which I tested positive for Ostarine.
Yeah,
I'm not too sure what that is.
I'm not familiar with that, but he claims he's innocent. So I won't jump on and say he's like John Jones, a super dirty fighter. Who knows?
Yeah, he showed his potential in that fight as well. He actually opened his hands up, and we actually saw that he has some real power inside them hands. He went on a 3-fight losing streak against Andrew Sanchez, Christoph Jotko, and then Jun Young Park. But yeah, he came and get Oscar Pichota more busy, let his hands go, and eventually got the finish. But do I see him winning this fight? No. I think Abu Azitar, he's on that 9-fight winning streak, and I think he carries in with a lot of confidence in this fight, a lot of motivation, and he's got an incredible training partner, his brother. Like that guy's crazy. He's got real potential in the 155-pound division. I think Otman is 155. Yeah, that guy hits like a truck. He hits like a truck, and I think Abu Azitar gets this one done by decision.
Yeah. So breaking news right now. We'll sign off with this. Justin Gaethje will apparently fight the winner of Chandler and Oliveira for the belt. And Dana also says they might offer something to Gaethje. So for all Gaethje fans out there like me that are very frustrated with him being left out of this title picture after losing to Habib, there's still hope, and he could be that champion. He was already interim champion, but there's a lot of hope for those fans out there. So with that, we'll sign off.
Wow, that's an That's something incredible. It's something like Justin Gaethje versus the winner of Chandler versus Oliveira. And when you look at it like that, Chandler versus Gaethje, I still think that would be probably the fight of the year whenever it happens.
Yeah, that would be either a finish or it would be fight of the year. Plain and simple, guaranteed violence. And we're going to see some violence in that main event this weekend. So go and enjoy, guys.
Yeah, exactly. A perfect way to end it there. Go and enjoy, guys. Thank you very much for joining us. From me and Oscar, a very goodbye. And I hope the fights this weekend are good. They're probably guaranteed to be. We've got a great main event. Ngannou versus Miocic for the heavyweight title. And signing off, for me and Oscar, a very goodbye. Thank you very much for joining us. Goodbye.